I'm the dude. So that's what you call me.
Are you a virgin?
Yeah, not since I was 10.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret.
Come on to the coast. We get together, have a few laughs.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Can I return it if it doesn't fit?
It always fits. Eventually.
Welcome back to Movie Mingle. I'm Caveman.
And I'm Maggie.
And today we're on episode number 58. And Maggie and I just finished watching The Godfather.
Yes, I've now officially seen The Godfather.
Finally, after all these
years. I managed to make it 40 years of my life without watching this goddamn movie. And now I have to watch this goddamn movie.
I know. People have been saying forever, one of the best films ever made. It's always within people's top, at least top 20. Sometimes it's on top 10 lists. Sometimes it gets as close as top 5 and on some lists that I've seen. It's highly regarded as Francis Ford Coppola's best film he ever made. Godfather 2 is also really great, and I prefer that one, but on lists, Godfather 1 usually is above.
Yeah,
because
it was the first one?
Maybe. I think everybody really loves Marlon Brando's performance and the story, the basic story. Personally, I love Robert De Niro in Godfather 2. Another, Francis Ford Coppola's other greatest movie he did was Apocalypse Now, but I think Godfather, in my opinion, is the better film. But it was Maggie's first time watching it. Mm-hmm. Maggie, can you give me a general idea? Because I don't think I can wait until we rate the film. So can you give me a general idea what you felt about The Godfather watching it for the first time?
I didn't love it.
Okay.
But I was invested. It did suck me in.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. It's not the best movie I've ever seen. And I'm totally fine with that. But it was not only was it interesting to finally watch this movie that everybody's been praising my entire life, right? And really see that, it's a pretty well done film. I did get sucked in by the characters. I did have emotions when they died. So I enjoyed it, but I don't think it's as great as everybody makes it out to be.
Well, and I think you're missing half a movie.
Yes.
My personal opinion, I believe Godfather 2 is a great continuation of the story that Godfather 1 started.
I would like to watch The Godfather Part 2.
Which
is shocking to me more than anything. But 2 reasons. One, I am invested enough in the characters that I want to know where they go. And also a young Robert De Niro is Boner City. So
young Robert De Niro is...
Fuck, is that man fine?
I mean, all the men in their younger years.
No, there's some bona fide hotties in this film.
James Caan.
Yeah, you really have it hard for James Caan.
James Caan is a...
See, and for me, honestly, young Robert Duvall, I took it over young James Caan. But I did. I thoroughly enjoyed watching the film. I don't think I loved it, but I enjoyed it. I'm glad I've seen it.
I'm glad you at least liked it enough to be like, this will be at least fun to talk about.
Yeah. As opposed to me just being like, I hated it, end of story.
I hated every moment of it.
No, I was so thoroughly invested. I was just showing Caveman my notebook that we take our notes in, and I wrote barely a page of notes because I was just glued to the screen the whole time.
I, too, had a hard time keeping up with the movie to write notes about because I just wanted to watch the movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed just sort of letting it fold over me. It was crazy long, and I'm glad we watched it at home and could take breaks.
Yeah.
Fuck, is it too long, actually? It's too long. You could cut out a lot of scenes from that film, and I'm not talking about, dialogue and stuff. You could just cut out so many establishing and people walking scenes that... the movie could be a half an hour shorter if you cut down on establishment and walking scenes.
I'm not saying that it should be cut from the movie because I absolutely think it belongs in the movie. But man, do you go on a journey when he goes to Sicily?
Oh yeah, no, you totally just walk the Sicilian countryside.
It's a whole nother movie.
It's
happening
a whole nother movie.
Side.
Justice for Apollonia, dude.
Oh,
fucking, they blew up Michael's wife in Beautiful Car. I just made Caveman watch John Belushi on Saturday Night Live playing Vito Corleone in group therapy, where he's coming to terms with everything that's happened to him over the course of the movie. And it's something that I've seen forever. I grew up on the best of John Belushi on SNL. And the Shix is making a Presbyterian pie is something that I say to myself actually a lot because of that. But that's how I knew the plot of The Godfather was because of that old SNL sketch with Elliot Gould and John Belushi and Lorraine Newman. That was her name. And I've got a bitch and bod. I'm like, I'm out of here, man.
Oh
God.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Obviously, The Godfather, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. And like I said, he did the trilogy, Apocalypse Now. He's also known for The Conversation with Gene Hackman. Rest in peace. Bram Stoker's Dracula, which I really like. I think Bram Stoker's Dracula is my personal favorite Francis Ford Coppola movie. I know it's not as highly regarded as Godfather Apocalypse Now, but the rewatchability of Dracula is so much higher. My other reasons is because I absolutely love Keanu Reeves and
Winona
Gary
Oldman.
I mean, Winona Ryder's great too, but Gary Oldman.
Even Keanu Reeves' terrible English accent.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's barely even trying. It still sounds like a surfer dude, but no, it doesn't matter. Like that's why it's the movie's just more rewatchable, and it's also hour shorter than Dracula and a half hour shorter than Apocalypse Now. So I think that's another reason why I gravitate more towards Dracula.
I was just on Coppola on Google looking up Coppola's films, and it had Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, the Kenneth Branagh one. And I was like, he didn't, from 94. And I was like, he didn't direct that. And no, sure enough, Kenneth Branagh directed it, but I guess Coppola produced it, maybe? Kenneth Branagh plays Frankenstein, Robert De Niro plays the monster, Helena Bonham Carter's in it, Ian Holmes in it. It's actually like a pretty legit film, if I remember correctly. Another one of the movies watched during those Kenneth Branagh obsession years, but I had forgotten about it up until this point. I was like, oh yeah, that was a fun one.
And he did Jack with Robin Williams, which I think that's one that people often forget
so weird
that he directed.
Yeah.
And then let us not forget Megalopolis.
So go back to the club.
I love you, Adam Driver.
Yeah, not controversial or divisive at all.
No.
Megalopolis.
Even though it's the exact same plot as The Brutalist.
It is pretty much the same plot as The Brutalist.
I probably couldn't say what my favorite Francis Ford Coppola movie is. I haven't seen Dracula in a very long time. I did enjoy The Godfather. I haven't seen Jack in a very long time. I like nothing that Sofia Coppola has ever done, as short of being the baby in this movie.
She played a great baby.
She played a great 3-week-old baby, and that was it. But
Can you imagine being a director and you're like, so my baby was born 3 weeks ago,
and we need a baby.
Yeah, in the film.
Yeah, I mean, like, 3-week-old babies are pretty fucking cute. And you and I commented on how cute that baby was.
As a director, be in the mindset of being like, yeah, I'm using mine. Come on in.
Well, I mean, yeah, you don't have to pay it. You don't have to... Mom's already right there. Like, it's comfortable with you and all the actors. Like, why not? Why not make it baby, you know? I don't know. I mean, like, I could see doing it. Now, if I was a director using my own 3-week-old in a film, that means that I went back to work 3 weeks after giving birth. And that's a little insane. But I guess if I was an actor and I cared, or excuse me, a director and I cared, then maybe, but...
I recently went to my grandparents' funeral, and I told family that, or some friends of my grandparents, that one of my fondest memories of Christmas with my grandparents, besides all the pageantry and just time being with them, which was the most important, but one thing that my grandparents always did for me is my parents would not buy me movies.
I'm not shocked by that.
But my grandparents would. So all they needed was a list. And as long as you had a clear title and the year it came out, enough for them to ask the person at Circuit City or Best Buy.
Yeah. Can you show me where this film my grandson wants is?
Yeah.
And they're like, Jurassic Park? Sure.
I had probably about a dozen VHS tapes that I got for Christmas and birthdays from my grandparents because it's the only thing I asked for. Once I became a little older, like once I passed 18, they would just send me like a $50 bill in the mail. But yeah, fond memories. The Godfather was written by Mario Puzo. He was the author of The Godfather and co-screenwriter along with Francis Ford Coppola. But he was the writer of the original book. In 1967, 2 years before the book came out, he had a manuscript ready, and somebody from his publisher.
Oh man, Hollywood fought over this film.
Yeah, somebody from his publisher was able to start, that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Publishers are always have people scouting
for film deals.
Deals and stuff. And so they were ready to pay once Paramount got a hold of it, the rights to it. They were ready to pay Puzo $12,500 for the book, and that was just for the rights.
Back in early 70s, though, that's a good chunk of change.
That was just for the rights to the manuscript, to the book, the film rights. And I think they said that if they...
How much was it? It was
$12,500 just upfront money for the rights to the film rights to the book.
And this was in 1972?
This was in 1972. And they also told him that they would give him another $80,000 if it was made into a film.
Oh boy, $12,500 is with inflation about $97,000 these days, which is a good chunk of change. But there are plenty of scripts that get gobbled up for $1 million plus. But
well, like I said, that was just for the right upfront rights, and then they said if it's made into a film,
they'd give him another.
We'll give you another $80,000. His agent told him don't do it, but he was in desperate need of he was in debt $10,000 for gambling, as you do.
As you do, yeah.
So he jumped at the chance to just grab the $12,500, not really caring if it was made into a film.
So $92,500 is about $718,000 today.
Right, and that's still...
And
I wonder, too, if they paid him even more for... to write because he ended up writing the screenplay with Coppola, so paid more to actually be a screenwriter now.
Well, so I was going through the IMDb trivia, there is a dense history to the making of The Godfather that considering that I watched it yesterday and are now recording about it, did not have time to learn that very dense history. Robert Evans knew the amount of money that Puzo owed for his gambling debts and basically was like, I will give you that money to clear your debt. So I think that
that's what
Robert Evans was it was a very shifty producer, and he, enjoyed getting his way. And I think that he got it for as little as he could get it, I mean, he was a shrewd man.
Robert Evans was the vice president of Paramount, right?
Maybe. My main memory of Robert Evans is that for a while he had a cartoon that was called The Kid Stays in the Picture on Comedy Central. And Robert Evans played himself running around Hollywood doing a bunch of crazy shit. And like Slash, who also played himself, was his next door neighbor who was in love with Evans's overweight African-American maid. Yeah. And those two were always causing trouble. And it was very funny at the time. And I doubt it would hold up well at all these days. But that's how I was introduced to Robert Evans. Was the cartoon The Kid Stays in the Picture.
I have to correct myself. Peter Bart was the vice president of Paramount at the time. Yeah. He's the one who gave the all clear for the unfinished manuscript that was originally titled Mafia, that they turned into later into The Godfather when it was published in 1969.
Oh, sorry. The cartoon was called Kid Notorious. There's no way it held up. And it came out in 2003. You know, it was about Robert Evans and his, like, insane life. Yeah, there's no way that it was only 9 episodes. I bet you like, going back and rewatching it, it is a rough watch. But I remember that. And that's how I was introduced to Robert Evans.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really
weird.
Robert Evans was the one who decided that the movie had to be directed by an Italian American.
Yeah, because he wanted to smell the spaghetti.
Well, he said he wanted it to be ethnic to the core, is how he put it. And I'm sure he may have said that later. But their latest mafia movie from Paramount was called The Brotherhood, and it did very poorly at the box office. When they eventually found Coppola to do the film, Coppola didn't want to do it because after he read the book, he said it was like just garbage. Actually, he didn't say it was garbage. He said it was sleazy and sensationalist, and describing it as being pretty cheap stuff. But it was after he talked to his people over at American Zoetrope, which was his production company. They still owed over $400,000 to Warner Brothers for producing THX 1138.
Yeah.
And so essentially he did it to pay off debt. He agreed to he got paid $125,000 to do the film, and then 6% of gross rentals.
Rentals?
Which I think may have been like a term used just for...
Like showing it in
I
theaters?
think so.
Because there's no way they didn't have
not
like...
in the 70s.
No.
They didn't have home
Blockbuster
media.
then. Yeah, okay.
it was
So
the
you're
home
right. It
media.
had to have been...
It's just, I think it's just a way they say. But the thing that made the movie different from the book that Coppola added, he decided that the film should not just be about organized crime, but more of a family chronicle and a metaphor for capitalism in America.
Always a metaphor for capitalism with that one, isn't it?
He sticks with a... It's
This,
like
Megalopolis, Jack, all metaphors for capitalism.
definitely Jack.
Yeah.
It did end up... I mean, the movie only cost $7 million to make, and ended up making $137 million domestically and $133 million internationally.
Yeah, this is a big
for a
fucking
total
movie.
of $270 million.
Yeah.
So he definitely got a good percentage off the back end. Mario Puzo also wrote some sequels, or he wrote one official sequel for The Godfather called The Sicilian. It was published in 1984, and there was a film in 1987 starring Christopher Lambert and John Turturro called The Sicilian that Mario Puzo wrote the screenplay for as well. So I wonder what kind of parallel themes there are in the two films. He died in 1999, but 2 more books were later published after his death by his estate. Godfather Returns in 2004, The Godfather's Revenge in 2006, and The Family Corleone in 2012.
Oh, they're just milking that fucking dead horse, aren't they?
That's something that I didn't know. But Mario Puzo also wrote the screenplay for Richard Donner's Superman. I mean, Lex is kind of a kind of a
mob boss. I can see it.
I don't know.
Yeah, Marlon Brando was in it. Maybe
Marlon Brando is in
yeah.
it. Maybe that's how they got Brando. They're like, well, Mario Puzo's writing this. They write you good dialogue.
Man, people take pop culture and they make it their identity. And you and I cannot talk shit about that because we are surrounded by Star Wars shit. And we both have Star Wars tattoos.
We definitely have turned pop culture into an identity.
Yeah,
for us.
absolutely.
I mean, we're doing a podcast about movies.
But we're open-ended in that it's not just one specific thing. It is so many things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like
it's
it's a ton of different fandoms. But like the people that make The Godfather their identity are like they're the fathers, the men who made The Godfather their identity were like their, fucking rec rooms were covered in Godfather shit and they were obsessed with the books and they've read them all and everything. They're the fathers of men who did that with Fight Club. It is the same level of red flag for most women when a man is like, oh my God, The Godfather is my favorite film versus, oh my God, Fight Club is my favorite film. I think the majority of women, especially pop culture savvy women, are all like, oh.
Ooh, are you guys watching The Godfather?
The Godfather.
I've never seen it.
Oh my God, you've never seen The Godfather? This movie is a rich blend of Coppola's aesthetic genius and a triumph to Robert Evans and the architecture of the 70s studio system.
Can you start the movie over and just talk through the whole thing?
I'm not shitting on them because I can't, because I'm looking around our home right now just going like, God, we need to get rid of like 90% of these pops and that's still too much.
When you have something that you like, you want to shove it in people's faces. I mean, even today, how many people did you have to tell about Glenn Hansard?
Yeah, no, I had to tell a lot of people about Glenn Hansard. But I'm just saying that, like, we at least have multi fandoms, right? We have multiple fandoms. We've got, I mean, you're sitting there with a Star Wars
people
tattoo
like
and an Encanto t-shirt.
Have more than likes than just the Godfather.
Yeah, but there are some people out there that like just the Godfather.
Maybe for movies because they're not huge movie buffs and they like football is their biggest fandom.
Yeah,
but the Godfather is their favorite.
I feel like it was a very much of a boomer thing because like I've walked into people's houses and seen nothing but Wizard of Oz memorabilia, like everywhere, or Elvis shit, right? Like, I think that a lot of boomers kind of took one thing and made it their like life. And for somebody, it was The Godfather. And I'm just saying, it is the same level of a red flag the way that Fight Club is.
I don't think it's just boomers, though.
No, it's not just boomers. But like, remember going into people's houses as a kid and their entire kitchens were like all ducks. And their living room was like all the Wizard of Oz.
I've never been to anybody's house where it was one theme from a movie.
Oh, for me, like, my parents had some family friends that lived half a mile away from us, so we were at their house all the time. And, like, their sitting room was all pigs. Their kitchen was all that, like...
That's different than
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Their living room was all pigs. Their kitchen was all that weird, like, 90s blue glass. Remember, like, the 90s blue glass? I'll show you a picture, and you'll be like, oh, yeah. And then their, like, rec room / TV room was all Barbie for the wife and Cars for the husband. And it was, like, this weird mishmash. But I remember when, like people had different themes for different rooms.
Living room.
I don't know. That always stuck with me. Like, I remember going into somebody's mom's house, and there was nothing but Wizard of Oz shit. Like all those weird tchotchke like clocks that you would get from mail order catalogs.
At least his was all centered about one room.
Yeah,
but
it was all Batman.
There are collectors who have Batman memorabilia and it's covering the entire house.
But I'm just trying to think about the mindset of the people that are obsessed with The Godfather. Because when you were talking about those books, I was like, somebody out there was anxiously waiting for that book to come out so they could get more of what they love.
I think millennials, Gen X, boomers, I think you could find a mega fan for The Godfather in each generation.
Yeah. And, I would treat them all the same way I would treat somebody who's a mega fan of Fight Club, which is pet, white man, pet.
I mean, and it's the same
and then
thing
avoid him
it's
at
the
parties.
same thing with football. There are football fan homes. You go in and there's nothing.
Which, by the way...
That I definitely have seen more than...
That is more acceptable than a Godfather house or a fucking Wizard of Oz or Star Wars house. That is more acceptable, even though it's the same level of nerdy
fandom.
Except it's somehow more acceptable than what we do.
Because nerds are still...
Nerds.
We might be more accepted now, but we're still low on the totem pole
whereas
for fandoms.
Football fans...
Oh, yeah. They can get away with murder.
Literally. There's no way that you and I can combat the history of this film in our short little podcast with the amount of time that we have before we've got to go off and do other things. So
there's a lot of things we are unaware of that happened for the making of the film.
Oh yeah, there was a whole mob boss thing. Like the mob was pissed about the movie making. I say we just get into the nuts and bolts of it and jump over all of that.
The music was done by Nino Rota, Italian composer. He composed 189 projects from 1933 to his death in 1979, but he still gets credited for a lot of work in projects that span from the 90s all the way till 2024. So his work is definitely being reused or republished in other things. He did the music for 8.5 from 1963, which is this. I probably saw it in 2023. It's this very surreal art house type film made in Italy. Very good movie for people who like more surrealist art like that. Another movie that he's known for music, and he probably doesn't like the fact that he's remembered for it, is a movie from 1958 called Fortunella. And the reason for that is because when it came time for the Oscars, he was originally nominated for Best Music, is what they called the category back then. But his nomination was later withdrawn for being ineligible because he reused music from Fortunella
for the
Godfather.
Yeah.
And the nomination was replaced by a nomination for the movie Sleuth.
But he did get the Oscar for Best Music or Best Score for Godfather Part 2. Yeah.
Yes.
So, ultimately.
Ultimately, he did.
It's funny because we were listening to the soundtrack Fortunella.
I had it playing in the car just in background, and then it started playing the tune.
Yeah.
Very, very much. He ripped off himself.
Well, I mean, John Williams has made a career out of doing that, so.
Well, he ripped off from old.
Yeah, and he ripped off old classic composers nobody knows of.
Cinematography was done by Gordon Willis. Gordon Willis worked on All the President's Men with Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford, Annie Hall, The Money Pit with Tom Hanks, and The Devil's Own with Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt. Rotten Tomatoes gave The Godfather 97% from critics and 98% from audiences.
Yeah, it's a classic for a reason.
Over 250,000 reviews.
Jesus. Yeah, on IMDb it was like nothing but a sea of 10 stars, and I was like, all right, settle down, guys.
Yeah, settle down.
Fucking.
But it wasn't like, one of those movies that did poorly in theaters or had bad reviews when it first came out, but became a cult classic later.
No, it was,
which then raises Rotten Tomatoes score since it was a website that didn't come out until much later.
It was always a beloved film.
It always, yeah. It was critically loved. It was box office loved it, and it won 31 awards with another 31 nominations. It won an Oscar for Best Picture. I mean, it was up against Cabaret, Deliverance, The Emigrants, a Swedish film starring Max von Sydow. Marlon Brando, of course, won Best Actor.
And did not collect it.
No,
that's when he sent up.
He was represented by Sacheen Littlefeather, a.k.a. Maria Cruz, a Native American Californian actress. She clarified that Brando respectfully refused the award due to the poor treatment of the American Indians in entertainment, as well as, of course, prior to these Academy Awards. The recent events of Wounded Knee in South Dakota had just happened like a month prior, maybe even weeks prior. And I guess the audience started sections of the audience started kind of booing at it.
Yeah.
But then they got overwhelmed with applause.
Yeah.
Littlefeather further stated that she hoped she had not intruded and that our hearts and understandings that she hoped our hearts and understandings will be met with love and generosity.
Yeah, it's a statement.
It's a statement, for sure.
The Oscars are a political thing.
Yeah, it is a time for people to be political because they always are and they always have been.
Yeah.
So people saying, "Oh, this is something new now." No,
yeah, no,
it's been happening.
Motherfucker, it's been happening forever.
It may not be as widely watched as it used to be.
Yeah,
but it's still a big enough audience that things get heard, and even if you don't watch it, you'll probably hear it from the media later. James Caan, Robert Duvall, and Al Pacino. The three of them were all nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but Joel Grey from Cabaret won.
He was the MC in Cabaret.
Oh, well, see, that's why you get nominated, because you're the MC.
Yeah.
Al Pacino did not attend the ceremony in protest of perceiving category fraud. He believed his performance reflected greater screen time than that of his co-star Marlon Brando, and so believed that he should have received the nomination for Best Actor in a Leading Role.
See, I read that he actually boycotted it for a different reason, but that people blamed it on that. But that he was just a young man with a head full of ideals and was protesting it overall and not just. So I'm just saying,
but
I don't
to be
fair, I don't think that Al Pacino was like, fuck it, I deserved more time. I'm not going for me.
But to be fair,
if
he said it or not, I kind of agree that he should have been the lead role, because I believe he is I believe he's the actual titular
main
character.
Yeah.
I think he's more of the Godfather, even in this movie. I mean, obviously, he's the Godfather in the second movie, but first movie,
it really is his story from outsider to Dawn.
You're the outsider who's
wants nothing to do with the family,
and the family doesn't want him to be involved. He's a war hero.
He's a smart man.
He he has an opportunity to
go off and do bigger and better things.
Bigger and better things for his country or just for the family.
Yeah,
but not involved with the crime side.
Well, if he had have become congressman or senator.
Oh yeah, he would have been in the pocket of the family.
Absolutely.
And so, of course, that's why they want him to be somebody bigger and better.
But I agree that he is the main character. The Oscars are constantly when they put in who is the lead actor and who is the supporting roles, they're always fucking screwy, and they always have been.
They never make people happy with the way they choose to do things.
Ever.
Of course, like I said, Mario Puzo and Francis Ford Coppola both won Oscars for adapting the screenplay, for adapted screenplay. Coppola was nominated for directing as well, but it went to Bob Fosse for directing Cabaret.
Cabaret was a good film. We watched that a year or so back, just out of the blue. I think it was we've never seen it. Let's give it a shot. And it was spectacular.
It was. I don't remember a lot about it, but I remember enjoying it. And I would watch it again. All right, Maggie, you ready to get into this this young, meaty cast?
Yes, let's get into
the segue for a joke that nobody else gets. That's how.
Let's get into the meat
great podcasting
of this part of this cast.
So Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Don Vito Corleone.
Ooh, I just saw his dick on the internet.
Maggie's looking up Brando dick. She has nothing else better to do. As I'm trying to get this.
I regret nothing. That man was hung like a horse. Jesus Christ.
This,
Look,
podcast back
Marlon
on.
Brando famously had sex with men. He did not consider himself queer, but he had sex with men and women, and supposedly a threesome with Eartha Kitt and Paul Newman, which, god damn it.
Jeez.
Yeah, right? Fuck. And, it makes a girl curious. But yes, he's in this movie. And it was hard for me to watch him in this movie a little bit because, one, the makeup was a little squirrely. I mean, I get it. It was the 70s, and I have to understand that.
And we're watching on a high-def TV.
And two, when I think of Marlon Brando, I think of people making fun of him in this movie. I think of the parodies of...
There are a lot of parodies of
Don Corleone.
And
that's what pops in my head, right? I mean, it's John Belushi. It's fucking... Zootopia. It's literally everything in pop culture forever has made fun of those big jowls,
you need a character that
those big wrinkles,
head of a mob.
Yeah, it's always
you're going to make fun of
Yeah.
Because everybody gets the reference.
Yes.
And it's an easy reference. When a movie is this popular and this well known, you know, it's just like Scarface.
Yeah.
Or, you know, there's certain moments, certain things that happen that
Oh, absolutely.
always,
Yeah, it's a pop culture trope.
But
but I did get over it eventually, and I was enthralled by his acting and by the character when he's sitting with Michael in the garden towards the end and they're having kind of what is essentially their last conversation.
Right.
I was enthralled by the acting going on in that scene. So like I get it.
Yeah, I love. Sorry, now I'm getting distracted by
penises.
No, not penises, but younger pictures of
Marlon
Brando.
I mean,
specifically,
he wasn't the hottest, but he was kind of
but,
hot.
I mean, look at this. This is from A Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah, I mean, like
That's a hot Brando right there.
I wouldn't kick him out of bed for eating crackers, that's for sure. But he's not at the top of dudes I would bang from this movie.
No, you'd bang all the older guys. Like,
What do you mean all the older guys? Like all the old Italian dudes?
yeah, probably.
No. Would I have sex with Abe Vigoda just for the story? Probably. But that was just so I could tell a funny story to Conan O'Brien because only he would find it amusing.
It's the only, like I told you when we were watching it, I know Abe Vigoda from two things.
Yeah.
The Godfather and Conan O'Brien. Yeah. And that's
it.
That's it.
Going through Brando's list of movies, I haven't seen a lot of them.
No, I've only seen Superman,
Yeah.
The Godfather, and Apocalypse Now.
Do you want to watch Guys and Dolls?
I would love to watch Guys and Dolls.
I've
and
never seen The Wild One.
And I've always wanted to watch A Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah.
Like, those, I do want to watch more of his stuff. Unfortunately, it's just down to Superman, The Godfather, and Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, for me it would be Superman, The Godfather. I haven't seen Apocalypse Now. I want to say I saw Don Juan DeMarco once forever ago, and also The Freshman, weirdly, which he did with Matthew Broderick. But for the most part, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of his films. And it's hard, because he's an old Hollywood star, but there's not a lot of his films that I would want to watch. I'd watch Mutiny on the Bounty, maybe. But
I mean, Mutiny on the Bounty is a great story.
Yeah, but like I would like to see The Wild One and A Streetcar Named Desire. And those might be on our season 2 list of films that we watch. But, you know, for me, Marlon Brando is the guy they made fun of because of The Island of Dr. Moreau on South Park. Or, you know, everybody makes fun of the cheeks and the chin. And, you know.
It's very easy to
it's very easy to make fun of.
Make fun of it, and everybody gets a good laugh out of it. Then next, we've got Al Pacino.
Fucking goddamn it. Al Pacino was so fucking hot in this movie. And like I get it. You're more of a James Caan guy, and I respect that because that like lighter hair and those lighter eyes and those all-American looks.
Pacino looked great.
James Caan didn't look like he was a Corleone. He was almost a little too American, right? But
well, I mean, they're all American.
Well, you know what I mean, though. Like a little more like blonde-haired, blue-eyed. Al Pacino with those black eyes and that scowl and that voice. And when did he start overacting? When did he turn into Al Pacino?
Ralph Garman talked about his moment.
Yeah.
It was in Dick Tracy is when Ralph Garman said that's when he goes
full Pacino. Yeah, I guess I can see that because he was kind of very full Pacino.
Dog Day Afternoon, he was still, you know, and that was 75 compared, and Scarface, which is 83, and Dick Tracy was 90. So from 72 to 89, Al Pacino was known
a little more subdued.
Yeah, a little more subdued.
And then he went a little bonkers there.
Dick Tracy and Scent of a Woman and Carlito's Way.
Yeah.
And definitely when you start getting to things like Donnie Brasco, Insomnia.
I remember him being weirdly good and weirdly hot in Insomnia. I remember walking out of Insomnia, which, by the way, I saw in theater in 2002. I walked out of that theater going, why do I have a weird thing for Al Pacino in that film? Like, why was I, like, hot for him?
Thankfully, the one movie that he doesn't, even though it's in the 90s, it's post, let's just say it's post Dick Tracy, is Heat. Heat's the one movie where I don't feel, yes, he does the whole, she's got a huge ass part. But that's the one. That's the one time I feel like he's
really
a
little
goes,
over the top in that film, but not
That's the worst of it, I think.
Yeah.
There's some moments where he has some anger issues, but Al Pacino's always been good at playing having anger issues.
But in this fucking movie, he is so goddamn hot. And just like that dark hair and that dark, like that dark soul and that troubled way about him, fucking just so hot.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't regret it. Like, God damn it, the three-piece suits and the hair. Whew.
I'd probably say Scarface is my favorite Al Pacino movie.
I have to say Heat. Like, I have to say Heat. How do you not say...
Because you haven't seen Scarface.
But
James
is
Caan,
Scarface better than Heat?
Put me on the spot. I want to say yes.
Fucking Heat's a great
They're
fucking
both.
film.
They might be just equals. Let's call them equals. Why can't they
that's
be
fair.
equals?
They can be equals. What if I said
But
my
Scarface
favorite
is
Al
still my
Pacino
favorite.
film is Jack and Jill?
I like Al Pacino as a villain more than a good guy cop.
That's fair. So James Caan.
James Caan.
Also hot. I mean, like, I wouldn't kick him out of bed for eating crackers. He's gorgeous in this film.
Of course, Misery always comes to mind.
Elf,
of course, comes to mind. He was also in a movie called Thief, directed by Michael Mann. Yeah, another Michael Mann movie.
Oh, it's funny. Like, I know James Caan for so many things, but then I'm going through his list of films, and I'm like...
He's done a lot of... I mean, he's done a lot of stuff. 136
Yeah,
projects.
he's done a lot of things.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff.
He passed fairly recently.
Yeah, unfortunately. A few years ago.
Yeah, a couple of years back. He was always just one of those incredible actors who you always felt was like one step away from wanting to kill you for some reason or another, right? Like he always had that threat of violence in all of his characters, which I always liked. I've seen parts of Misery, but not it in its entirety. But he was great.
The Gambler.
Yeah.
Brian's Song.
Mickey Blue Eyes. He was just always kind of there. That was the other wonderful thing about James Caan is he would pop up in things. You're like, oh fuck, it's James Caan.
Yeah.
And you're never.
I don't think I knew he was in Elf when I first watched it, and then he pops up, and I'm like, oh shit, I love James Caan. The only thing bad about James Caan is he had Scott Caan. Diane Keaton.
I did not.
Very, very, very young.
Gosh, she
Diane
was
Keaton.
so young. I didn't recognize her. I was like, that's not Diane Keaton. And you're like, I'm pretty sure it is. And I was like, no, it's not. Oh, wait, no, it is. Diane Keaton, who has been like Hollywood's quirky it girl forever, who's also done a lot of movies that are...
I mean, Annie Hall is one of her...
Never seen it.
Biggest...
Manhattan was another really big one. She did a lot of stuff with Woody Allen in the beginning. But then there was a while there where she just did a lot of moms finding love again in the late 90s, early 2000s in weird rom-coms.
I mean, yeah, she was in Father the Bride as the mom.
Yeah,
and love her
because
in
I
that.
said so, and so it goes. Maybe I do. Looking for Mr. Goodbar, there were a lot of Morning Glory, like rom-coms that she was in as like the ultimate rom-com girl. And I haven't seen a lot of those, but I just know that they exist.
They do exist.
Yeah.
And of course, she comes back for Godfather 2.
Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see more of what happens to her character because that poor woman.
Oh, that poor woman.
Yeah. Fucking Michael's wives.
Michael's wives.
Poor Apollonia. You know the actress that played
Pour one
Apollonia?
out for Apollonia.
She was only 16 when she filmed that film. So those are some 16-year-old boobs, you see. Yeah.
No.
Yep. I just ruined that for so many people. She was only 16 in that scene where she's nude. Thanks, Hollywood from the 70s.
Are we sure?
Yep. Uh-huh.
I'm surprised, actually, with how much streaming services, because of that kind of stuff, just cut out things. I mean, there's an episode of 30 Rock that will not air again.
Oh, well, yeah, but that, I mean, a lot of those things have to do with, like, blackface.
Still, they either cut it out. I mean, Disney was on putting old movies to the chopping block at one time because they
wanted to cut out, like, all the problematic things.
Yeah, they wanted, because they have to please everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, well, there's a fine-ass line when it comes to cutting things from film.
Or, like, digitally putting in a shirt. But that's also, it's one of those things where it's like, look, this movie was made in a certain time where stuff like that was more accepted. Like, shit like that was the norm back then. And that's just what you had to expect. you know, and so you see stuff like that and you have to acknowledge like, oh, that's creepy and that's gross. But,
Or, you know, they're also...
you know, it also wasn't gratuitous. Like, you see her boobs for like a couple of seconds. It's not like she was bouncing around or anything. That's
a fine line too, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying it was artful, but it wasn't like really gratuitous either. It was just, there are boobs. When we saw, growing up...
And it's the only nudity in the whole movie, which is...
Yeah, also kind of weirdly out of place.
There was no reason for it either.
No.
Like, you could have had Michael take his shirt off.
Yeah.
And then show her shirt coming off just above the shoulders.
Yeah, they could have blocked it so that you didn't see
and then,
her.
Like, there's no sex scene anyway, or any kissing. No,
there's kissing.
There's kissing.
Yeah, it's one of those problematic things that you don't have to approve of, but you just have to kind of accept because it's just how it was done then, and now we live in a different era with different rules, and we have to look back on that and acknowledge like that's kind of gross. You know, it was 2 seconds out of an otherwise great film.
Yes, looking at it with a 2025 mindset, looking at a movie that was written in the 60s, made in the early 70s, and just be like, well, that's not how we do things now.
Nope.
But at least
it was what we did then.
It's good to know as well what we did back then to obviously...
Never do it again.
Never do it again.
Also, by the way, it was her second nude scene that she had filmed.
Second, wow.
And she was like, I don't really like them, but if the script calls for it, I guess I have to do it. That was essentially her quote about it.
I mean, the way women were treated in the 60s and 70s.
And especially the way women were treated in the 40s, where the movie was set.
Leading all the way up. I mean, the way they're still treated.
Yeah.
Still hasn't improved much. A little bit, but not much.
They blew up Michael's wife and lovely car.
Or beautiful. Michael's wife and beautiful car.
I was actually really pissed when Apollonia died. She didn't deserve it. She was so pure.
And man, there was obviously they had a dummy in there wearing clothes because after the explosion you could see her leg.
Yes.
And her clothing like plastered up against the metal of the car.
The violence of this film is particularly good. When they kill the brother-in-law and he's like kicking his foot out the window. And then you just like see the body.
The camera POV on the hood as it's driving away, I thought was really good.
The cinematography in this movie was pretty fucking good.
Movie,
even though it's so dark, it was so good.
It was dark. I feel like there's a 4K restoration that would make it look better.
There was not a 4K restoration, but there was a restoration done not too long ago. It at least came out for Blu-ray.
Yeah, I bet it would look better than streaming it from Amazon.
Yeah. Robert fucking Duvall is so goddamn hot
on for.
In this. Robert Duvall is so hot in this movie. I will take absolutely no criticism. He was wildly good. Very just fucking.
Well, Robert Duvall's great. Knocks out of the park in everything he has ever done.
And when I saw him, I was like, I know his name. What's his name? And I couldn't remember it. Is he still alive? Fuck, he's still alive.
Yeah, we haven't
94.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the,
That's going to be a devastating one.
It is. Yeah. And I'll probably start watching some more Robert Duvall
My mom
movies.
had such a boner for Lonesome Dove, which was an old Western miniseries, I think. But I remember that that's like one of my mom's favorite things.
I mean, he won Oscar in 1984 for Best Actor in Tender Mercies.
I forgot he was a young man in To Kill a Mockingbird.
I knew, Open Range is a fantastic movie with Kevin Costner and Diego Luna. Really, really good movie. And it was one of those Westerns, because Kevin Costner loves trying to bring Westerns back.
And he'll never stop.
Every so often.
Oh, yeah, Robert Duvall was in MASH. Fuck, I forgot about that, but he played kind of a douchey character.
Gone in 60 Seconds, the remake.
I never saw that.
With Nicolas Cage and Angelina Jolie?
No, never saw it.
Saw it? It's super stupid.
Yeah.
But it's such a fun ride. It was like the precursor to Fast and the Furious. It really was.
I think we watched part of it in a high school, like...
Soundtracks are great.
In my high school computer class, I know that it was on in the background, but because I had a computer in front of me, I was on the internet and not looking at that. Robert Duvall played Frank Burns in the MASH movie. And he was the kind of not the main antagonist, but he was the character that Donald Sutherland, Elliot Gould, and Tom Skerritt would not fucking let up on. Because he was like a good Christian man. He didn't want to be, take part in all the kind of crazy antics of the crew. And I think he had some sort of like thing going on with Hot Lips Houlihan. But they were so mean to Robert Duvall in MASH. Like, his character is so put upon. But that is, in fact, that might be on our season 2 list of films, because MASH is an incredible film. 1970. And
I saw half of it.
Fucking Donald Sutherland, Elliot Gould, Robert Duvall, Tom Skerritt, just fucking hotties after hotties after hotties in that movie. Just banging hotties. And I will always, always love that movie.
A couple other movies to note that I like Robert Duvall in. He was in Falling Down with Michael Douglas.
My parents loved that movie growing up. I haven't seen it in a long time.
I haven't seen it in a long time.
But I always like...
I've seen it. I mean, it was always the movie that you compare. We talked about it when we did the Joker episode.
Yeah.
Because it's very similar to that.
And also, that character looks a lot like Dilbert, which is weird. So
the white shirt and glasses.
Yeah.
He was in The Newsies.
Crazy Heart.
Days of Thunder.
The Natural.
Another Michael Mann movie.
I haven't seen Days of Thunder.
Or no, Michael Mann, or is it Tony Scott?
He was in Sling Blade. Yeah, fucking Robert Duvall's done just,
I mean, yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, just like all of these guys. They've done everything.
147 projects since the 60s.
I mean, yeah, he was in Kill a Mockingbird, for
He
God's
played
sakes.
the titular character in THX 1138.
I have seen that.
So have I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a very long time, though.
Same.
But I found him very handsome in this particular movie. I thought that he was quite hot. I can't deny it. All of these men were attractive. These are like prime attractive years for these guys.
Yeah, they were.
And I was here for all of it. And then it was nice, a nice counterpoint to all the very rugged, proper, authentic Italian Goombas in this fucking movie too, right? Like, I mean, Fredo, not hot. Calamezza and Salazio and Tessio and all those other guys, like, they're not exactly, like, they're old school Italian or Italian-looking mobsters, and they've all got the wrinkles and the weight and the weirdness, and, good for them. But, like, you put that, you have a room full of, like, old Italian dudes, and then you slip in a young Robert Duvall, and you're immediately looking at a young Robert Duvall going, damn. Plus, he carried himself, his character being the lawyer, and not moral by any means, but the one with a slightly higher morality to him because he's a lawyer. The way that he walked, the way that he held himself, the way, like, he has a presence in this film, even when he's in the background, where he's very calculating and he's very smart and hottie. Just hottie.
Next on our list, playing the character of Luca Brasi, is Lenny Montana.
Mm-hmm.
Born Leonardo Passafaro.
Oh, okay.
In 1926.
Sounds Italian.
He was an American-Italian actor who played, now considered one of the greater roles. Like, he gets talked about a lot.
Did he go on acting after this?
He did.
Oh, wow.
He does have about 22.
Oh, wow.
Projects at probably really short. Cameos, and maybe
a lot of gangster stuff.
Yeah, probably. Some stuff seems like it could have been like in the 80s. He played a coach in a movie called Pandemonium.
Oh, he got the acting bug. So what makes him so special?
Well, the interesting thing about Lenny Montana is, first of all, he started off as a pro wrestler.
Okay. He had that look, kind of a big burly man.
He was 6'6" and
Jesus.
330 pounds.
Ooh, that's a hell of a man.
A big guy, and he was known as the Zebra Kid.
Oh, okay.
That was his wrestling name. From wrestling, he ended up getting involved with the Colombo family, known...
The mob, as you do.
Yes, known crime family back in the day. And he mainly worked as a bodyguard.
Okay. when you're 6'6" and 330...
And he was also a bouncer, and he was a wrestler. So, and now he's a bodyguard for a real
mobster.
Mob. Yeah. And essentially, so when he was on the set of The Godfather, he would tell stories about things that...
Why was he on the set of The Godfather?
Well, because it is known that there were mobsters on the set of The Godfather.
Yeah, they were pissed.
They were watching this movie very closely.
Yeah, they wanted to make sure.
Because originally this movie was, like we said, this movie was originally called Mafia. And they actually dropped the mob was one reason that they dropped the word Mafia and changed it to The Godfather. So because the Colombo family was present, not really, it's not really known who exactly from the Colombo family was there.
Yeah.
But
somebody was there, yeah.
But he was there because he's a bodyguard. Something that Coppola did to kind of like ingratiate the Colombo family was offer a part to Lenny Montana. And
just a little bit part, a little cameo.
A little cameo. And that's how he got to play Luca Brasi. You see him out in the yard first.
Yeah, at the wedding.
Reading a note that he's probably written down what he wants to say to Vito Corleone.
Yeah, to the Don.
He's nervous, and so it seems like he might be big and burly, but he respects the hell out of the Godfather.
And don't Diane Keaton and Pacino have a moment where she's like, "Who's that guy?" And she's kind of scared of him.
Well, she calls him a scary man.
Yeah.
And Al Pacino's like, he is a scary
man. Yeah.
That man is Luca Brasi.
Yeah.
And then once again, when he's in the office with Vito Corleone, he's still very nervously reading, or saying what he wants to say, how much respect he has for the Godfather.
Don Corleone, I am honored and grateful that you have invited me to your daughter's wedding. On the day of your daughter's wedding. And I hope that their first child be a masculine child. Don Corleone, I'm going to leave you now because I know you are busy.
But that scene was shot first.
The one where he's very nervously talking to Don Corleone.
It's because he is not an actor.
No.
And he's very nervous being in the presence of Marlon Brando.
Yes, one of the biggest actors of all time.
And which works because his character is nervous for being in front of
Vito meeting
Corleone.
Yeah, the Godfather.
And so even though this guy can't act and he messes up his lines and he's very nervous and you can hear it in his voice, Coppola, being the genius director he was like, we're going to save that. We're not going to cut that out of the movie.
We're going to use that take.
We're going to use that take.
Yeah.
And now we're going to create this new quick scene of him practicing, showing that he is nervous.
Yeah.
Why he's nervous, or
why he would flub his lines.
So when you see him
in
the office, it makes makes it cleaner.
And it is a very charming scene too, right? Like watching him nervously, like to himself, basically remember his lines while Keaton and Pacino are looking on. That's really kind of like enduring. And then seeing him in front of Don Corleone is also, because as soon as he fubs up his line and you can see it on his face, he's just like, oh no. But he just keeps going, right? He powers through.
Right.
It's really it's sweet, actually.
It is sweet.
It's a very sweet moment.
To see this massive man.
It's a very human moment.
Known arsonist.
Yeah.
And muscle.
Yeah.
And bodyguard. Just be so nervous like a child in front of an idol.
Yeah.
Like Marlon Brando.
Or Don Corleone. Yeah, either way, it worked for the actor.
It worked for the moment.
It worked for the character.
The guy has one of the more memorable lines, may your first child be a masculine child,
Yeah.
has been repeated over and over forever. And a lot of times it's funny because people do an impression of De Niro when they say that, even though De Niro doesn't say it.
But very clever, very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other person that I have to note, other than that we haven't talked about, I think would be Al Martino. He played Johnny Fontaine, who was the singer turned actor.
The not Sinatra.
The not Sinatra.
Yeah.
He only been in a few things, but he was more of a performer, a singer. Most of his stuff on IMDb is all performing songs on songs in movies, not necessarily being in the movie, but his song was used, like a version of his song, and even still today, like NCIS Los Angeles did "I'll Be Home for Christmas" track with him. Yeah, even the Batman with Robert Pattinson had one of his songs called "I Have But One Heart."
I'm trying to look up pictures of a young Abe Vigoda, and I'm not finding a lot.
Of course,
but
you're looking for Abe Vigoda.
I'm like,
you're just like,
curiosity kills that cat, and I'm not finding.
I
a lot
wonder if I would do him. Scroll. Nope.
Don't be jealous of my Abe Vigoda fantasies, Caveman. They're very small, but I was
you think
also
Mark Zuckerberg's hot or not was bad.
Look, I'm not saying that I'm any better than them. I'm just saying that if they get to do it, I get to do it too. Sure. That's true equality. If they get to be scumbags, I get to be a bit of a scumbag also. Because, goddammit, women are also scumbags. And I think that people need to understand that. We are just as filthy as the rest of them. And I'm not ashamed of that. Also, for what it is worth, I was curious what Abe Vigoda was in. He also was he was in North. He was in Prancer. He was in Good Burger and Look Who's Talking 1 and 2. He was in Joe versus the Volcano.
Yeah, those are all much newer movies that I'm sure he...
I'm just saying,
curious,
you've seen these films, right? Sure. We've all seen them. He was in Batman Mask of the Phantasm, for fuck's sake. Abe Vigoda did so much more than just Conan and The Godfather. And I was curious what it was. If I can look up a picture of Marlon Brando with a dick in his mouth, I can look up a picture of a young Abe Vigoda.
If that's what you want to do with your time.
Bum, bum, bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum.
Perfect cut. From the moment the movie starts,
that opening shot of that slow pull out.
Yeah, starting on the guy's face, doing the monologue, and
that was
just one take.
It took me a second to really kind of clock what was happening, and then I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
oh." I was pretty taken by that.
Yeah, and I know that the first scene at the wedding is long, but it does a great job of introducing you to the characters, the family.
It is a long scene.
Exposition. I mean, there's a lot to...
I bet it was fun to film, too. That giant wedding.
It looked like a lot of fun. Yeah, big wedding.
All those outfits.
It looked like... I would love to go to a wedding like that.
Yeah.
But like Coppola said, it was the one thing that he wanted to focus on more than just it being a mob story. He wanted to focus on the family. Another great zoom, but this time it was a zoom in one take, was when Michael comes up with the idea to kill the police commissioner and the mob boss son. Mm-hmm. The one that was responsible for his dad getting shot. Even though then you find out after the big family meeting that it wasn't that mob boss, even though that mob boss may have gotten the hit.
He handled it, but he didn't come up with it.
He handled the hit, but he didn't come up with it. Yeah, the other.
I will say that it was hard when they were just talking about people. It was really hard to understand it. I can see why this movie would bear multiple viewings just to fully understand it, because as a first time watcher, not really knowing the full plot, like knowing what it's about, but not really knowing the full plot, like it's just them talking about people, and
it's hard to put these names to faces.
Yes, and then all the faces are kind of similar in that old man Italian
way.
They
are, which, because I have seen this film multiple times, I do understand it a lot better.
Yeah, it's easier for you, but I was just
first time viewing, you're like,
who?
Who's that?
What?
Who are they talking about?
He was,
who's that guy who's actually the betrayer?
Abe Vigoda? Yeah, so I had a hard time really following. Like, I still don't fully know who tried to kill Michael and thus killed Apollonia.
I think the guy at the head of the table, the guy
Yeah.
who got shot down the steps of that courthouse.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Barzini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was in the head of it all.
Mm-hmm.
He came up with the idea to take out the Corleone family, or at least to take out Vito.
Yeah.
So he had the lower mob boss do it, which that mob boss had his son take charge of that.
Yeah.
And his son had, hired a hitman. So it's
It's all the way
goes
down.
down all the way
It's
down
fucking
to
turtles all the way down. I also didn't understand when they fired Robert Duvall, but then kept him around.
Yeah, as far as I can see it, he's still their lawyer.
Yeah.
But
he's
not
no longer the consigliere.
Yeah, and he's no longer really involved with
The day-to-day?
the day-to-day
He was there for that day.
mob boss of it all.
Yeah.
But he's still there.
Yeah, I didn't fully understand that part, because they were like, we're getting rid of you, but then he was still there.
Well, it's not like you're fired and you can't be part of the family anymore,
Yeah.
because I think he's been with them for so long.
If he was fired and
having
thus no longer part of the family, we would have seen him get killed.
And maybe it's best to have a lawyer who doesn't know everything
Yeah.
about what's going on with the
Yeah.
crime side of the family, and the family is trying to go legit.
Yes. By starting up in Vegas.
Yeah, they're
Yeah. Which we all know how that played
that
out.
doesn't.
The history of
go
Vegas
well.
and mobsters. Yeah, I always thought too that the whole dude with the horse in his bed, the horse head in the bed,
Yeah.
I always thought there was more to it than just literally the first
My godson wants this part in a movie, and you're gonna do it.
and then who did he get to do that? Because he wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I was wondering.
And
I
how
actually
did they
wrote
get
down
the
I read,
horse head in? What was that guy on? If he slept through them putting,
I wrote down. Did Tom decapitate the horse?
yeah. And how did they get it in that guy's bed without him waking up?
Because the very next scene, right after he's screaming at the horse, it cuts right to Tom being right back in New York.
Yeah.
And just like nothing ever happened.
The timing of this film.
It jumps around like crazy without ever telling you
When and where. You kind of have to pick up on clues, right?
Usually-
You're like, all right, the wedding's in the spring or summer.
she was pregnant. Now her kid is older.
Now the kid's older.
Now she's pregnant with the second one.
There's a he was shot around Christmas. Fucking Al Pacino had a black eye for half of this fucking movie. He got punched by one cop, and he had a black eye for 6 months.
It either jumps 4 years without telling you, or it takes
half the film to
half
be
the film to get through
for a black eye to heal.
6 months. Yeah.
It made there's no reason why he still had to have the black eye in Italy, especially when he meets Apollonia, and it's a dark black eye too.
Yeah, I mean his face. It's from his temple all the way down to his chin. Plus,
he got punched once.
Well, it was a hard punch.
Must
Also,
have fucking
the
been.
next after he got hit, when he's talking, you can tell because he's talking through his teeth, like his jaw got broken or something. So
that cop was a really fucking a boxer or something.
he's got an iron fist.
I've just. I was about to say I've seen Matt Murdock heal from things faster, but he's Matt Murdock.
He's a superhero.
Well, and he's perfect, and I love him. Yeah, there was a lot of the continuity of this film, the timing of this film that I was like, huh, where? And
First time viewing, I can see how you can just.
it's very confusing.
Yeah, okay, where are we? When are we?
I get that it makes me want to go oh, maybe I should watch it again, but I don't want to give another 3 hours of my life to this film. I've seen it once. I can
Right
tell
away.
people that I enjoyed it enough.
You can have another time in your life in the future, even if it's 5 years from now. Where you're
that's
like,
true.
you know what? Now I'm going to watch these two movies.
I said I
back
would
to back.
only watch Interstellar once, and
'Cause I
then now
watched-
I'd watch it right now.
I
so.
watched the Godfather trilogy back to back to back.
I'm sorry.
Once. We make decisions in life and have to live with them. Oh yeah, there was a really interesting music moment in the movie when they're after Pacino runs off to Sicily, and they're showing the one way that they do show the progress of time is by showing all these headlines. And kind of what the family's doing. And
Yes,
the music was
to the mattresses scene.
the what?
They
Mattresses?
refer to it to going to the mattresses because it's the mob war, right? You're seeing all the destruction of the mob war, in old photographs and headlines about the families at war with each other. And that scene is referred to as basically going to the mattresses. Which I only know about that phrase because of how often I've watched You've Got Mail, because Tom Hanks's character, like most men of the 90s, was obsessed with The Godfather and talks a lot about it in the movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a pull.
Yeah.
I would never remember that Tom Hanks talks about The Godfather a lot.
I've seen
You've
that
Got
movie
Mail.
a lot. It's one of my favorite rom-coms. It's problematic now, but fuck, is it cute.
Well, anyway,
Yeah.
the music that's playing during that scene,
Mhm.
it's got like this really kind of higher pitched piano tune, like this jaunty
Mhm.
bar kind of piano going, while at the same time there's like a bass, but it's not like a bass being plucked. It's a bass with a bow.
Mhm.
So it's more like this deep, like just hum. It's a choice, but I think it really fit that moment, and it was enough where I wrote it down because I
Do you know who plays the piano in that scene?
no
Francis Ford Coppola's father.
really
Yeah, he's the
that's-
piano player.
Wow.
In fact, his whole family is in this movie, sprinkled throughout.
I mean,
you know.
it makes more sense why he threw his 3-week-old daughter
Yeah.
in there.
And also, that particular scene was edited by George Lucas. George Lucas has a lot of not unscripted, but he did a lot of uncredited. I don't know why I couldn't remember that well. Film. He gave Coppola a lot of uncredited help for this film because Coppola had helped him finance THX,
Sure.
and they were all pals.
Yeah,
Like,
him,
they're all
Coppola, Spielberg.
Yeah.
They-
Spielberg helped restore the goddamn film after, back in the 2000s. So, yeah, it's a big, clusterfuck of Hollywood's finest then. But
yeah, they were all
together.
James Caan looked like he had so much fun shooting that fight scene with his brother-in-law.
Apparently, the actor who played the brother-in-law was like, he went feral on me. Like, he did so much more than he was supposed to. And then James Caan was like, no, he didn't, asshole. We planned the whole thing. But he did. When he grabs the fucking trash can and throws it down, and then the lid.
Like, boom, boom. No, the whole thing was.
He's biting his hand.
I love how it was. The single takes that Coppola does in this
they're pretty legit.
Really well done.
I know also that, going back a little bit into the history of this film, it seemed like every other trivia thing I was reading on IMDb was Robert Evans was against blank, and Coppola threatened to quit if it wasn't kept the way it was, and then eventually Robert Evans relented. Apparently the making of this film is very cantankerous, and Robert Evans was at war with everyone about it. But again, you know, he was a shrewd producer. He wanted to make things cheap and fast. Coppola wasn't always going for that. But, like, he hated the music. He hated the, you know, Coppola put together a reel showing the actors that he wanted. Robert Duvall, you know, Diane Keaton, Al Pacino, Marlon Brando. Like, he put together a list and a reel of the actors that he wanted. Robert Evans insisted that they find other people. The Paramount spent a couple $100,000 on trying to cast this movie, and ultimately they chose the same fucking 5 people that Coppola wanted in the first place. Robert Evans seemed to fight, from what I gather from just my minimal reading into the history of this film, that he fought almost every single, like, choice in this movie. And sometimes he won and sometimes he didn't. But a lot of him not winning was Coppola being like, I'll fucking quit. Do you want that? And then Robert Evans being like, oh, fine. It's sort of crazy that it is considered one of the greatest films of all time, and the history behind it itself literally became its own TV show and is its own, like, intense story. So that kind of makes me giggle a lot, but at the same time, it's also, I don't know, unnecessary to a degree, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? It exists, you know. it exists. This movie is a testament to great filmmaking, great acting, a great story that does stand the test of time, because even though I hadn't seen it until 2025, I was still able to enjoy this film. I was telling people this whole past week that I had to watch this fucking movie, and people were like, I'm sorry. Other people went, just don't watch it. And I was like, I have to for the podcast. And they're like, oh, that's dumb. And I'm like, I know, blah. But I had a preconceived notion about this film, but it turns out that, like, it's not that bad. It's fairly entertaining. It is a good film. It's not I don't really like mob stories, and I never have, but I didn't hate it. You know, I enjoyed watching it as just a fan of movies and finally watching a film that everybody has seen that I haven't seen and kind of wondering what the hype is. Caveman and I have been talking at length about what we consider quote unquote season 2 of this podcast being, because we are less than 20 episodes from being done with this whole thing, right? And so we're talking about what we want to do if we want to keep it going and what's it going to be. And it's kind of coming down to the classics we haven't seen, or we haven't seen in so long that essentially we haven't seen them. And so it has been fun as a movie fan to revisit the classics, for good or for ill, to kind of see how they've inspired Hollywood, what has come out of them, the jokes, the parodies, the sequels, the fan lore, all of it, right? Like, all of it. It's interesting to see, because it kind of gets you to understand not only the world at large and pop culture at large, but also, you know, your friends and the people that you love that love these films that you're like, I'm never going to watch The Godfather. Here I am. I've seen it. I don't hate it.
She doesn't hate it.
I don't hate it.
That's better than...
It's not like Whiplash. Fuck that movie.
She didn't say I like it or I love it.
No.
She doesn't hate it.
I enjoyed it. I liked it. I'm not like gaga for it. I thoroughly enjoyed the film. I enjoyed watching it with you. And I'm not angry that I watched it or that I liked it, right? And even with Hereditary last week, I did not enjoy it at all. But I can appreciate what it is and how it was made. And that's another testament to how this stupid podcast has changed how I view film. And I'm kind of angry about that, but I'm happy about that. We're about to go see Mickey 17. Before this podcast, I would have been like, have fun, honey. You go, girl. It's
true, you would have.
I'm going to stay home, and I'm going to play video games, and I'm going to dick off, and you come home and tell me how it is. Now I'm like, yeah, let's go see this weird Bong Joon-ho, thank you, movie about where fucking Robert Pattinson has the craziest fucking voice. Like, let's do it. Yeah.
I have one correction to make for myself.
Okay.
I just had to look it up, but Cooper Hoffman, who is Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, did not play in the
in the making of
who
were you thinking of?
Movie or series? It was a series.
Yeah.
Well, I thought he played Francis Ford Coppola for some reason, but it was not. It was Dan Fogler.
Oh yeah.
From Fantastic Beasts.
Oh man, I ruined that character.
And I think
justice for Queenie.
I think maybe the reason that I haven't watched The Offer is probably because Miles Teller's in it.
Ah, boo.
Oh yeah, Maggie, how would you rate The Godfather?
I'd give it a 4. I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I understand what it is, why it is, and what it has meant for Hollywood history since it premiered in the early 70s. I was a lot more taken by it than I thought I was. I was a lot more like, when Sonny died, I was so shocked. I was just like, oh my God. Like, I kind of didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I mean, if Sonny can die.
Yeah, if Sonny could die, if James Caan can die.
And if
fucking Vito could get
shot in the back.
I didn't know that happened at all.
Right.
So when that happened, I was like, what? Like I thought an orange got him. I thought he died in
an orange field. I thought an orange got him.
Everything I've ever been told is that it was a fucking orange that took out this dude, not...
And I don't know if they ever talk about it, if it was a heart attack or if it was...
I think it was just like a heart attack
or something to do with... I always thought it was... heart attack or stroke. That I always felt like it was a direct result
of the
shooting.
It could have been. I mean, you never know. But like, he lived a while afterwards.
They got him in the long run.
Yeah, like I was genuinely enthralled by the film And so I will give it a 4. What about you, my love?
I would give The Godfather a 5. But
Of
I'm
course.
a guy, so I'm
You're a
expected to
fucking
say
guy.
that.
You have to. Ken, you have to say that.
I have to.
Yeah.
It's part of the
The mail code. If you don't give a Godfather a top score, you have to give back your man card.
yes.
Yeah, I see.
I don't want to lose my man card. No, I genuinely do love The Godfather. I think it is a great movie, but the problem is us people who just keep saying it's great, it's great, it's great, it's one of the best. It's top 5 movies ever made or whatever, but
there is a certain amount of hyperbole and gushing over something that could ruin it for you. And that has happened a lot for me in my life, where people have told me how great The Sixth Sense is, and I sat down and watched it and went, this movie's fucking garbage.
People do build up movies, and it's just like the people who
and we are guilty of this.
And it's people who expected you to like things like, well, I don't know if anybody expected you to really like Hereditary.
No, nobody expected me to like Hereditary. In fact, when I was like, I didn't really like it, everybody was like, of course you didn't.
One of our friends, when we posted our list of the movies that we were going to be, like the next section of the list was posted on our Instagram. One of our friends said, prediction, Maggie will love The Godfather and Nope. She's going to hate 7, though. Which is true.
It's true.
Because you did like Godfather and the Nope. You have no desire to see either one of them again.
I need to talk to him about that. And be like, son of a bitch, how did you know?
You knew me so well.
I didn't love The Godfather. It's not the greatest film I've ever seen, but I enjoyed it. I'm glad that I watched it. I really look forward to watching part 2.
So, Maggie.
Yes, honey.
I have 2 questions for you.
Hit it.
Hey, can I help you with your items? Yeah, your store items here?
Okay.
I'm sorry, ma'am, where exactly are you parked?
Oh, I got no car. I live 6 blocks over up on Warburton.
What the fuck is that from? Is that a young Oscar Isaac?
Not young. No, it's from 2015, so it's the same year.
Is that from his? Wait. That could be from 2 things: either the mobster movie that he did with Jessica Chastain, or the one where he played the New York councilman who the miniseries that he did that he won a Golden Globe for, where he did play the councilman trying to make his community better, and then ultimately, spoilers, kills himself at the end for no real reason. But is that what that's from?
Yes. Show Me a Hero TV miniseries from 2015 on HBO.
Yes. Yeah, I actually have seen that, and it was really good. And then I didn't really fully understand, because it's based on a true story, I didn't fully understand why he killed himself in the end, but it was sad. But no, he was really cute in that.
Yeah, that scene is longer. I had to cut it down because,
time.
It's just a clip.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be just a 10-second clip, but sometimes these scenes are like 30 to 45 seconds, and you're like, oh, how am I going to cut that?
Do you always pick these scenes to try to get me to guess them? Is that why there's not more Poe Dameron?
You want just Poe Dameron every day?
No, but it's been a minute since we've had, and more than just, somehow Palpatine returned.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
I like that one.
I know you do, but he's got a lot of lines in those movies. He's got a lot of great fucking banging lines in The Force Awakens.
Oh, no, he's got great lines throughout all his stuff. But yeah, a little bit of it's because I want you to guess. But I am looking for kind of getting an idea of his career.
Yeah.
And it's also hard, too, because you can only find so much on YouTube.
Yeah, that's fair.
YouTube doesn't show entire films unless you want to pay for them.
Yeah, no. And I understand that. I always appreciate the effort that you put into trying to pick a new Oscar Isaac clip. I love that you accept my love for that man.
It's a passing phase.
It's been going on since 2017. It's passing. It's almost a decade
Really?
of my life.
2017? You weren't immediately obsessed in 2015?
That's the 2015. That's what I was trying to think of. God damn it. No, it's been this year. 10 years. Oh, it's our 10-year anniversary of me and Poe Dameron.
Anyway, would the presence of Oscar Isaac make The Godfather a better film? Because he has played Italian men before.
Yeah, and, that's... They look at him and they're like, you could be Italian. Well, you can be Italian. That's a tough one because I want to say yes just for the shits and giggles of it all. But also it is so perfectly cast that I kind of want to say no. And also, he's already kind of in it. So I'm going to say no.
How is he kind of in it?
Well, ask me the second question.
Oh, boy. Oh, I think I know what you're going to say. All right, Maggie. Second question. Who would you have Oscar Isaac play in The Godfather?
He's already in it, playing the bodyguard, Michael's bodyguard, when he's in Sicily. There's that guy, his bodyguard.
Yes, one of his bodyguards in
looks
Sicily.
Like a sort of busted Oscar Isaac.
Yes, like a dollar store version.
We have Oscar Isaac at home, honey.
Yeah.
We don't need to get him out and about. We have one at home. No, I pointed it out to you. They look very similar, except this guy's a little more busted.
They look like they could be distant cousins.
Not distant.
And
like, that's easily a first cousin, but like his uncle married an ugly woman sort of thing. Like, you know, as much as I would like to say, sure, Oscar could be Michael or Oscar could be, you know, any of these guys. The fact that there's already a dude in this movie that looks strikingly like Oscar Isaac in a weird way. And he's just, you know, the Italian bodyguard. Let that just be him. Let that just be our boy. Because it wouldn't have taken much to digitally change the face because they're so similar. And I really like that character, and I'm glad that character ultimately wasn't the betrayer. It was the other dude.
It was the other guy.
Yeah.
Asshole.
Who killed Apollonia just as for a sweet, sweet girl. Yeah, the dude that already looks like him. So let's just make that him. And that has been this week's episode of Movie Mingle on The Godfather, and we hope that you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. As ever, you can find us on Instagram, Threads, and Letterboxd at MovieMinglePod. You can find us on Instagram at MovieMinglePodcast, and write us any of your letters, thoughts, questions, comments, and concerns at movieminglepod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from more of you folks out there, so write us a letter. Thank you, as always, for being on this journey for us with us for the last 57 episodes. It's been a gas, and you know, it's always just such a joy to watch these old classics and talk about them with my best friend. So thanks for allowing us to do that by listening and caring. We love you guys. Next week we'll be talking about the Joaquin Phoenix movie Her, which I've also never seen before, but I'm a little less trepidatious of, because at the very least it's a weird rom-com instead of a 3-hour mob movie, so we'll see how I like it. But until then, just take good care of yourselves, be careful out there in this big, big, wide world, and remember, leave the gun, take the cannoli, and go mingle. Bye!
So go back to the club.
Are you an effective team?
We are an effective team.
Let them fight.
How did you just do that?
I'm a really good lawyer.
Here on Caladan, we've ruled by air power and sea power. On Arrakis, we need to cultivate desert power.
Welcome, Mr. Beach. What's that bar? I'm a little confused.
Well, we wouldn't want that, would we?
I don't want to brag, but I will. I was in the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you. What is that?
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Toga, 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 toga.